All right, well, welcome to another episode of the Spurs Takeover. I'm your host, Joe Garcia, and I'm going to be joined tonight by our co host and good friend, Benjamin Bornstein of Project Spurs. And we're going to be talking, yes, about an ugly Spurs loss. What a way to start off the Rodeo road trip. Spurs drop one to the Los Angeles Clippers by a final score of 108 to 105. This game literally was over in the third quarter when the Spurs took their foot off the gas and had one of their, I guess, typical third quarter collapses.
Classic meltdown.
Yeah, classic meltdown. And unfortunately, that's about all she wrote. And they just couldn't get themselves the stops they needed down the stretch. Hey, what's up? I got a user here on Periscope saying hi, Joe. I said, hi, how's it going? Unfortunately, the Spurs just didn't do enough of what they needed to do to close out the Clippers. And it's a shame because this was a golden opportunity since they went up quick on the Clippers, only to relinquish the lead in the third quarter and fumble everything that they worked hard for and come away with absolutely nothing. What a way to start the road trip. And it doesn't get easier. They also have the Lakers tomorrow. So, thoughts on tonight's game?
Not ideal. Just you're leading the Clippers, one of the best teams in the West, by 10 after the first quarter. You're up 9 going into half, and then third quarter you have your classic Spurs collapse that we've seen in a lot of games this season. And I guess we're not surprised. We shouldn't be surprised at this point. They got outscored by 12 in the third quarter, and that's what did them in. They kept even with the Clippers in the last quarter, but they got outscored 31-19, and that was the only quarter where the Clippers scored 30 or more. It was a combination of bad defense to start the half, bad offense to start the half, and then DeMar DeRozan completely lost his legs. They disappeared after the first half.
Let's talk about some Rudy Gay too. He was looking a little shaky there, looking a little old at times, on those defensive rotations.
He looked old for a lot of those 15 minutes he played tonight. He did not get out well on rotations. I mean, there were times there were switches and he just didn't even go out to his man on a switch. He just left his man. I don't know if that was because he didn't know where his man went. He lost him, or he was just like, I don't need to get out there. And he didn't get out there, and he left his teammates on an island at times on defense.
Yeah, I think that has more to do with him just being old and tired, as of late. It looks like he kind of hit a wall, and I think everybody on this Spurs team is probably looking forward to that little break, with the All-Star game coming up, because this team is looking tired and they need some rest.
They look tired, and that was the first game of their Rodeo road trip. It's not going to get any better. That's the scary part. I mean, DeMar DeRozan went 10 of 14 in the first half. And think of it like this: he finished 11 of 23. He went 1 of 9 in the second half, and the majority of his shots were short. He had no legs. They were gone. He was basically running on his knees.
Let's read some of the comments. Frank Ramirez, what's up, Frank? Thanks for watching. He says, tough loss. And Doris Campano Basco, what's up, Doris? She goes, another winnable game that got away. If they only rebounded offensively after those missed shots, they have a chance. Well, they had a chance at the beginning of the game. They look good for the first half of play. And then again, they come in the third quarter and they play a typical Spurs third quarter of basketball, relinquish the league and kind of get away from the things that worked for them in the first half of play. I thought they did a great job defensively, and not only that, but they were hitting on all cylinders offensively in that first half. They shot the ball really well. They were sharing the ball. The ball was moving. It wasn't sticking. They were playing great team basketball, but in that second half, it seems like the Clippers just came out and really started to put the clamps on the Spurs, made some adjustments in the locker room, and came out and really gave it to them. And unfortunately, the Spurs just couldn't recover. But that's typically what happens for the Spurs this season. There's no rhyme or reason for their Jekyll and Hyde first and second halves. It's something that they notoriously have to battle. And at some juncture, you can't keep coming up with excuses. Oh, well, we got out of rhythm. Oh, the team played great defense. No, You guys still can't figure this thing out, and it's already getting to the point of the season where you're past the point of no return. And 10 more games, this is either going to make or break your season. They can only lose, I think, at this point, 12 more games. 12 more games, and they have an 8-game rodeo road trip, you know, and they already played one of those games, so now they have 7 games left. The math isn't in their favor, and right now we're seeing this team in kind of a distressed mode right now, if you want to say that. Some of the stats for tonight, I'll go ahead and read them off to you. We had the high scorer for the night for the Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge, with 27 points, 5 assists, and 9 rebounds. DeMar DeRozan was 1 point less. He had 26 points. He had 2 assists and 5 rebounds. Patty Mills has been playing some pretty damn good basketball as of late. He had 18 points on the night. He had 2 assists and 2 rebounds. So kudos to Patty, man. Patty's been an outstanding role player for the Spurs bench. More so even than Trash Benanelli, which I hope they can get rid of. There's rumors abounding right now that Spurs are trying to shop both Marco Benanelli and also Damari Carroll. But they're rumors. Who knows if it's really going to happen or not before the trade deadline. I wish Damari Carroll the best if he does, in fact, get traded. Guy just wants to ball, and unfortunately, the Spurs the Spurs team is just not a good fit for him. But given the stats that I just read out to you tonight, what really stood out for you during this game as far as what the Spurs were able to do in that first half of play?
So they did exactly what they should have done. I mean, DeMar DeRozan was getting whatever he wanted in the mid-range, and he was making it. He was 10 of 14 in the first half. He got everything he wanted in that free throw range, and elbow between the elbows, right in the semicircle. He got all those shots he wanted. He was hitting them. And they kept going to him and said, "All right, we're going to set you the screens. We're going to get you open. They're gonna either go under the screen and you're going to have the shot, or they're going to try and double and we'll have something else out of it." And it worked. I mean, the offense was great in the first half, and they were hitting shots. And they got away from that in the second half. And well, it's not even so much they got away from it; it's just the shots weren't falling because they got DeRozan those same exact shots. He just wasn't hitting any of them. And then when LaMarcus Aldridge finally got hot in the second half, they didn't give it to him enough. They should have been force feeding him a little bit. He was getting whatever he wanted on Montrezl
Yeah.
Harrell. He was getting whatever he wanted on JaMychal Green, and there was even a possession where Kawhi Leonard guarded him and didn't even bother going to contest the turnaround fadeaway.
Yeah, it seemed like LaMarcus was bothered with that matchup with Vujicic. Vujicic's length, I think, kind of bothered LMA at times where he couldn't get himself in rhythm and really couldn't get a look at the basket or good look at the rim, and it affected his jump shot. I don't know what it was about Vujicic, but he played a solid defensive game against LMA, it seemed like, especially down in the post.
You, do you mean Ivica Zubac?
Zubac, there you go. Zubac, that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, well, Zubac is just a big dude.
Yeah,
He's 7'1" and he's like 270, I think. So I mean, he is a load, and
he's a big guy.
he's on the court for one reason, and that's to play defense and get some lobs here and there. And that's
Yeah.
what he did. He played the role really well, and the Spurs defense gave him way too many good looks. He got a lot of layups and dunks because they doubled off the wrong guys. Guys didn't scramble, whatever it was. They got away from him. But Montrezl Harrell plays most of those minutes anyway. Zubac will start, but Montrezl Harrell comes in to finish games, and he was pretty good tonight. He had a lot of nice plays in it. Spurs actually had a really great coaches challenge tonight, I thought, on
Oh
the
yeah.
LaMarcus Aldridge fifth foul blocking call, and they reversed it and gave the Spurs the ball out of bounds, took away the foul from LaMarcus, and the Spurs go down in it. I can't remember if they hit a shot on that possession, but they end up going up by
They did
two,
hit
and
a shot. They did hit a shot.
so that turned out to be a huge swing, and then the Spurs fall apart at the end. I mean, there were times in that game where the ball just stuck too much, and there was one sequence in particular where Derek White gets the ball and has to throw up that three, and it goes in, but it doesn't count because DeMar DeRozan decides with 5 seconds left, ooh, do I really want to drive? I don't know. Do I want to go baseline? And then he half dribbles his way to the baseline and realizes, nope, I'm just going to turn around. Oh, I don't have a shot. Okay, I'm just going to pass away. He played hot potato. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know, near the end of games, you can't execute like that. You can't do that. You can't have bonehead plays. And I actually thought that the Spurs did a nice thing tonight, and they didn't play Bryn Forbes near the end of that game. He was basically useless that game. It says he scored 8 points, but I really don't remember anything after he hit those first two free throws.
It was a
To be honest,
lackluster performance from Bryn Forbes yet
he
again.
he was terrible, and he was getting killed on defense. And Pop finally realized, okay, I can't have you in the game. And Lonnie
Yeah.
Walker was in the game, and Patty Mills was in the game. Patty Mills, who is not known for defense, was in the game, and he actually had some really nice plays tonight, I thought,
The
defensively.
funny thing to me is that Patty Mills is about as tall as Bryn Forbes, except Patty Mills is a better defender. I can't figure that one out. I guess it's just the want to, to go out there and play defense. So I don't know, man. Bryn needs to take some notes from Patty. I'm going to read some of these comments real quick. Vins 42 392 says, "We are just missing the killer instinct." It said, instinct player who would make the plays in the last 2 minutes of both ends. I guess what he's saying is we're missing that legit closer, and it shows. I agree with him. Joanne Hernandez can't wait till the season is over. Doris says, Pop just needs to play the youth more and lessen minutes to those vets. Keep Patty in, though. It says, since we are not winning, just unleash your G League boys and build chemistry. We'll expect Brick Forbes, barbecue. Yes, barbecue. Frank Ramirez says, can't wait also, Joanne, for the season to be over. So David Anthony Galan, oh man, I can't read his comment, but I'm with you on that one, brother. He says that the Spurs are just basically horrible this season. Yeah, man. Eric Winchester says the dynasty is over. Dude, I think that dynasty was over a couple seasons ago when we lost. The big three came to an end. So you're a little too late for that. And then David says trade Forbes, he's trash. Last year's team was better. Yeah, you're not wrong on that end.
You say trade Bryn Forbes, but in the same sense you say he's trash. So who's going to trade for him?
There you go. Same thing with Marco Beninelli. We want to get rid of him. The Spurs want to get rid of him, but you know what? Nobody else wants him because I believe the exact phrase was he's a defensive liability. Everybody else in the league sees the same thing, and they're like, we don't want him. You can keep him.
That's right. Well, actually, you know what? I actually really liked how Trey Lyles came out in the first quarter and a little bit of the second quarter of that game. I don't understand why he didn't play more minutes in the second half. I felt like he was underutilized that game. He was aggressive in his shot taking, and he didn't take bad shots. I didn't think he probably could have driven it a little more than he did. But he was a solid defender, and he was hitting shots. I mean, I don't know why you don't give that guy more minutes in the second half. I thought he earned more time tonight, and I think he could have helped the Spurs a little bit too. So other than that, I thought the rotations were actually pretty fine.
Yeah.
I was pretty good with those rotations. Of course, I'm always going to advocate that Jakob Poeltl should get more minutes. I mean, 14 minutes. I feel like it felt like he played more because every time he's in the game, I feel the energy from him, and I always feel like his minutes are bigger than other people's minutes.
Jakob Poeltl is our friend Jonas Clark's spirit animal. Poeltl.
This is true. Well, he should be everyone's spirit animal because if that's your spirit animal, you will never need coffee in your life.
I was gonna say something real quick, Ben. Andy Everett, he was on the Chris Dole show as a call-in today, and Chris was asking him, basically why the Spurs won't just play the youth, if the season's in dire straits and there's really no point in them even contending to make the playoffs, if in fact that does happen. And Andy Everett said something interesting, and I thought it was something that I'm going to let Spurs fans know. He said the organization as a whole isn't going to throw in the towel. There's going to be no tanking. They're not going to just bring in the youth from the G League because they feel that would be a disservice to the fans if they did that. Because they're going to finish the season off with the core that they have intact right now, and they're going to keep the guys that are up and comers, like Keldon Johnson, Lucas Samanic, Quindary Weatherspoon. They're going to stay in the G League. They're not going to bring them over here and finish the season off, much to the dismay of Spurs fans. I'm thinking Andy Everett is correct. He's a very intelligent guy when it comes to his informative sports takes. But he's onto something there. The Spurs aren't gonna just cater to the fans and give them exactly what they want. They're gonna want to try to remain competitive, and if they kind of bring those guys in this early in the second half of the season, that's kind of like throwing up the white flag, and it sends the wrong message, not just to the organization as a whole, but also in the locker room. That the
Yes.
Spurs are all but giving up, and that's not the Spurs way. So we can go ahead and dispel those rumors. Even though we would love to see the youth, the young guys come out and just ball out the rest of the season and entertain us. Most likely that is not going to happen. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, Ben.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no way the Spurs organization will ever admit to tanking. They won't ever play lineups that would have you think that they're tanking, anything of that nature. So yeah, for better or worse, we're stuck with these lineups. We're stuck with these players unless a trade happens in the next couple days before the deadline on Thursday, which I'm not sure it will.
Yeah,
I
we're going
haven't
to be
seen,
stuck with trash Bryn Forbes and Marco Beninelli.
I mean, I've mostly seen rumors attached to the Spurs. I haven't
Yeah.
seen anything solid, and the Spurs are, I think, one of the few like Woj-proof teams out there. They really don't let anything slip out. They really don't let anything, get to him. Whereas he's basically got informants in every other office. But I just think this team had opportunities to win this game, and they just didn't capitalize. They hit too few shots too late. There were times Patty Mills had good open looks and he missed them. There were times when I actually thought Rudy Gay should have played even less minutes tonight. He just looked bad on the court, and I would have been interested to see a Pirtle and Aldridge combo just to see
Yeah.
how teams would have guarded it. Because if Pirtle's man goes to leave to double on Aldridge, you get him cutting down the middle of the lane, and even if that doesn't open him, that occupies somebody, and if you have to get a quick swing and somebody else is open. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just curious to see what it looks like. I'd really just like to see if they are compatible or not.
Well,
Because
the
if
Spurs did run a stat before the start of the game here on Fox Sports Southwest, locally here in San Antonio. Uh, what they said is that they ran a graphic, and I put it out there on my Twitter account, and it's the stat with Dejounte, with Jakob, and with Derek White on the floor all at the same time. They said they've only played a total of, I believe, 14 minutes or 12 minutes for the whole season, but in that short time frame that they have played together, they have been very efficient on both ends of the floor.
I
Both
bet they have been.
offensively and defensively, and I don't understand why they wouldn't go to that core more often, because this is going to give you your best chances to win games and remain competitive. And they're young, so they can play heavy minutes out there. If the Spurs really want to go after that eighth spot in the West, you're going to have to find a way to play your best three guys who play good as that little core, as that little group there. As far as that little lineup goes, I think Coach Pop has something there. And I also noticed that when you have Jakob Portal and Patty Mills together, they have this great little pick and pop action, this little give and go action where Jakob will come up and set the screen. Patty comes around the screen and Jakob just gives him the ball right back. Little kind of give and go, and it
Hmm.
allows Patty to get open from beyond the arc and hit a wide open three. So that's something that Jakob Portal has been getting better at as far as his floor spacing and setting those screens and getting out and being able to help his teammates a lot more. He does a lot of little things out there on the court, I think more so than Marcus Aldridge, who just kind of camps out in the paint. So that's just my take on this whole situation. But have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, Pirtle has gotten considerably better about one, his spacing, understanding where to be and when. And I even tonight, he got Patty a lot of good open looks from beyond the arc, because they'd have that little handoff. Patty passes it to him, runs by him. Pirtle just kind of turns into a screen and hands it off to him, and Patty gets a good look because the other guy doesn't step up in time.
Yeah.
The big man doesn't step up in time, and the guard is still trying to get around his screen. So it's a great little play. I like that. I think those two have a nice little chemistry together, and I feel like there's nobody who has bad chemistry with Patty Mills. He's just a good dude. He's just a good teammate. So I mean, I do like that about their game, but I The one thing I would really like to see is I need to see DeJounte Murray get aggressive going to the rim. He made one jumper and he started settling for jumpers.
I
And
need to see something more out of DeJounte. I got to tell you, DeJounte Murray, to me, he's had a lackluster season. He hasn't been very productive on the offensive end, and that's what we need him out there for. And another one who's had a lackluster season as well is Derek White. Both of our guards haven't had very good seasons, and I don't understand why they haven't had good seasons. Tonight, they only put up, respectively, DeJounte had 2 points. He played 25 minutes. Derek White played 23 minutes and had 4 points. What the hell's going on with these guards for San Antonio?
well, I think in a game like tonight's, it was a lot of we're feeding DeRozan and we're feeding Aldridge, so they didn't take 2 minutes. Well, Murray, they both took 7 shots apiece, but they weren't in any sort of rhythm because they weren't consistently getting shots throughout the game. I'd argue in this particular game that's the case, but for the most part throughout the season, I think you could make the case that Spurs have been much more ISO heavy with those two featured players in DeRozan and
Yeah,
Aldridge. But Murray, for him, his mindset has changed a little bit in that it's if I'm open for my jumper, I'm going to take my jumper, and then if I make one, I'm going to keep going. Whereas it should be more similar to what he had coming in as a rookie, where it was I'm going to, they're not going to respect my shot, but I'm going to drive by them. I'm going to get to the rim, and then after I do that a couple times, once they're overloading on the rim, protecting the rim, then I take my jumper that they're going to leave me open for, and then that way, one opens the other, and it keeps you basically have your choice of how you want to beat your defender throughout the course of the game. So I think he has to get into the mindset of I have to attack, 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 because really even a missed layup or a missed shot at the rim for him is good offense because it gives the Spurs a chance to get an offensive rebound and get a putback from Pearl or Aldridge.
yeah. I can see that, but the thing that's really disheartening to me is I had high hopes for one Derek White and also DeJounte Murray coming out and, respectively being one of the better backcourts in the NBA. Unfortunately, that has not transpired. And the Spurs season hasn't lived up to the billing that we expected it to be. It's been thoroughly disappointing, and we only have, I'd say, a little less than 32, 34 games left on the season. So, I mean, I think it's going to be one of these seasons where Spurs fans are going to be disappointed if the team doesn't make the playoffs, but it's to be expected. And when the season's over, I think there's going to be a lot of relief on both sides of the ball, from a fan perspective and from the players.
And this roster is going to look different. It should look different next year with people who are free agents, people who will not be re-signed, things like that. And I
Marco.
think, well, yes, but I also think Bryn Forbes getting the minutes that he does hampers Derek White's ability to grow.
It does.
Even with Derek White getting late game minutes, which is big. Those minutes should not be undervalued at all because the Spurs have been different than a lot of other teams. Whereas you have teams they make the playoffs for the first time, they have to take their lumps and then they get back and they get better each year. This team is going to have to start to do that. They're going to have to realize, okay, we're going to miss the playoffs this year. Do you guys enjoy sitting at home during the offseason? Oh, I didn't think so. We're going to work harder. We're going to come back. We're going to get everything together that we need to do. We're going to have the chemistry that we need to. We're going to be better shooters. We're going to be better ball handlers. And despite having only 6 turnovers tonight, I still thought there were times when DeMar DeRozan and DeJounte Murray were too loose with the ball when they were dribbling. DeMar DeRozan is especially guilty of this. He kind of gets into his zone and he's trying to dribble through 2 or 3 people, and he's trying to, he does a thing where you kind of put your head down and you keep it low just to get through everybody, and it's, you can't have that. That's how
and when he comes out at the other end of the tunnel, there's like 3 guys around him, and then he's trying to look to pass the ball, and what happens?
And he doesn't know where they are.
Yeah,
he doesn't know where they are, and he either misses the pass and everybody recovers, or like you said, he turns it over, or he's forced to put up a terrible shot. So that's something that has to be worked on, and I guess we're going to see how that whole saga turns out this offseason, because he could easily come back, accept his player option, and play again for the Spurs, or he could say, I'm going to decline my option and see what kind of money I can get on the free agent market because he's probably going to be one of the more coveted free agents this offseason.
I think he's going to go and opt out so he can go ahead and test the waters. That's a smart move in his part, just to see, hey, do I have a chance to make more money, and do the Spurs want to offer? Or if he doesn't really get any offers, he can just go ahead and say, well, let's make a deal. So you have that, but we'll just have to see what transpires. But unfortunately, since some of the Spurs have made some bad decisions, let's put it like that, they kind of have themselves up against the wall. You can only afford to bring back so many players, and you can only bring them back for so many years. I think what's going to happen is DeMar's going to want a long-term contract, and the Spurs are only going to be able to offer him maybe at best 3 years.
Right. He's on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah.
Him and LaMarcus Aldridge, they're not offering anything more than 3 years. There's no way. They learned their lesson after offering Pau Gasol way too much money. They tried to do him a favor, and frankly,
which we're still paying for.
Right. You don't do guys like that a favor. All right. He hasn't done anything for your franchise.
Yeah.
He's been a Laker the majority of his career. All right. You don't give him a wink agreement. You don't do that. That was a terrible contract. He was also past his prime.
It was also a gentleman's agreement. It was honor.
Yeah. Well, there was a little too much honor going around.
Yeah.
At some point, the Spurs are going to have to operate like a real front office and say, we're paying you what you're worth. Deal with it.
They got to be more cutthroat. I think that's what it is. They have that small market mindset, that small town mindset. And they need to change that mentality, man. They need to be more business-like. And unfortunately, the NBA is a business. That's why I always say, don't get attached to the players, because you never know what can happen.
Not only that, but they also have to realize you're not going to have a Tony Parker, a Manu Ginobili, or a Tim Duncan who's going to take less money so that you can go out and sign other guys.
Those days are gone.
Players don't do that anymore. The only other guy who's been doing that consistently the last few years has been Tom Brady in the NFL, and that did not work out for the Patriots this year because they had 0 receivers to help him. Yeah. So, if you're the Spurs, you have to say, listen, we're not paying a dime more than you're worth. Deal with it. If you want to throw in some incentives in the contract for the players so that, 1, they hopefully play better and meet those incentives, and 2, so that they have a reason to be like, okay, well, I have a chance to earn a little more money, so I'll sign with you. That's fine. But you also have to you really have to talk to some of these guys and tell them, listen, you're playing in Texas. There's no state income tax. Your money is worth more here.
True that. It shouldn't be more attractive. Doesn't everybody want to have more money in their pocket at the end of the day?
Getting another year and getting paid more money in New York doesn't really necessarily mean you're getting paid more money.
That state income tax is killer, bro.
That, and it's just expensive to live there.
That it is. Our friend Jeff Garcia can attest to that.
Yes, he can.
He does know a spot though where you can get a mean $1 slice of pizza though.
I'm here for that.
I don't know if it's real cheese, bro, and I don't know how old it is, but
day old pizza.
It's $1. All right, man. Well, we're gonna go ahead and bring this episode to an end, but before we do, let me go ahead and get your prediction. What are your predictions for the Rodeo road trip? What do you think the record's gonna be? We already lost this first game against the Clippers. We have 7 games left. What do you think they're gonna go?
They're gonna go 2-6.
That's exactly what I told Chris Duell earlier today. I went ahead and texted him and told him my prediction is 2-6. So I'm right there with you, man. I'm being realistic, and so is Hutch. Shout out to you, Hutch. Mark Hutchison, the soundboard ops for Ticket 760 on the Chris Duell show. He also said 2-6. That's my boy. He keeps it real.
Yep. You have to in this season.
Yep.
That's the only way to stay alive.
All right, man. So before we go ahead and bid adieu to all the peeps here that are watching us, and thank you guys for tuning in and watching us and listening to us ramble on here. It's already late at night, so you guys are the real ones. Where can they reach you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at _Bornstein. Going to be doing plenty of work for Project Spurs. Going to ramp things up as NBA draft gets closer. Can't wait for that. Going to be very exciting. There's going to be plenty of prospects the Spurs can look at this year since they're likely going to be a lottery team. So that's exciting stuff. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, I will be on this takeover show as the season goes on.
Yep, and we're also going to have other guests on, as Steven Anderson is going to be joining us as well from time to time, and Jonas Clark as well. As maybe some other guests. Maybe we can get De Leon on here. At least once or twice. That'd be cool. Get the
And
boss man on.
And our guy, Wes Perkins.
Oh yeah, Wes Perkins. Yeah, the thing with Wes is though he's because he's a teacher. It's hard to get him on late at night like this. But during a different when we're in a different time zone. Maybe when they're on the East Coast, I think he'll be up for that. So he'll be making an appearance here pretty soon as well.
Weekends, baby. Weekends.
Yep, there you go. So you can also reach me as well. Two Shots Podcast, all spelled out, TWOSHOTS podcast. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram and YouTube, where you can go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and also check out replays of the other episodes that we've done of the Spurs Takeover, and also you can check out the other episodes of the Two Shots podcast, which I recently did last Friday. Was a lot of fun with our good friends Tom and Ty. So that was a good thing to do. It was with different guests. So go ahead and check that out. But for Benjamin Bornstein, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you all for watching. And before I let you go, make sure you also check out ProjectSpurs.com for all your Spurs coverage. And for your local Spurs coverage, make sure that you check out ProjectSpursNetwork.com. So that's about all the time we have for tonight. And like we always say, spread the love, stop the hate, and be kind. We're out. Peace.